controller. And I love this group. As I said, I love this group so much. I'm so glad that we're here today. Before we get going, I just want to put a shout out to our course that we have online. It is called Junior Jets. It's for kids who are 5 to 10 years old. And you can, it's for schools as well, up to grade 6, maybe even grade 8. You can go on.
Just taught grade 6.
You just did?
We just used it for the first time. Yeah, we just did it this morning with a grade 6 class here in Edmonton, and it was awesome. It was really fun.
Okay, we'll get into that. So you can actually watch it online, or you can actually have someone virtually, or when we're allowed in person, come and go through it with your class. So if you know a teacher, or you are a teacher and you want to learn more about Junior Jets, go on our website or info@Elevate Aviation to ask us some questions, and we'll contact you and we'll help you with that. Okay, today's airtime is all about Canadian organizations that are doing wonderful things to help bring women into aviation. And you might be thinking, it's COVID right now, why are you even having this conversation? But we are having this conversation, and I believe, and we'll see what the rest of the panel believes, that aviation is going to come back. It's going to come back strong, and we will be looking for more people to come into aviation. So we will talk about that as well. On the panel today, we have Cathy Fraser. She's from the Northern Lights Aero Foundation. We have Sophia Wells from Elevate Aviation. We have Kim Winsor from the 99s and the International Organization of Women Pilots. And we have Iris Diaz, the Canadian Women Aviation, the conference. You'll hear more about that. And Kristin Long, a fellow honorary colonel and Women in Aviation International and Girls in Aviation Day. Hi, everybody. Hi, Iris. Iris just joined us. We were all on a couple minutes early. Iris, so I just want to shout out to you. Hi, how are you?
Apologies for my tardiness, ladies.
Not at all. I just want to say a special hello to you because I didn't get to say hi to you yet. So lovely to see you.
Nice to see you all. It's great to be here today. What a treat.
Very good. Yeah, I'm excited. Okay, so we are going to start with introducing you a little bit better, and you're going to do it yourself. So we're going to start with Sophia. Sophia, you knew I was going to do that.
How did I know that one was coming? Well, thanks, Kendra.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you all so much for being here. It's so great to get on a call like this with so many women that completely inspire me all of the time. And thank you for all the work that you're all doing. So I am with Elevate Aviation. So I'm a pilot as well, of course.
Oh, Sophia is frozen. She's going to love that. Okay, we'll come back to Sophia. Let's go, Cathy. Cathy, can you introduce yourself and say a little bit about you?
Hi there, I'm a captain on the 787 at Air Canada. I'm also a volunteer with Northern Lights Aero Foundation and the director of nominations. We started in 2009, and we saw a need for women to be recognized for their work in aerospace and aviation. And we hold an annual gala to promote and to celebrate these women. Of this year, Kendra is one of our winners, as a matter of fact. So.
Oh, congratulations. I am so honored. Thank you. Now I'm embarrassed. So thank you. You guys do an amazing job, and we're gonna learn more about the organization. I want to dive into that in a few minutes. First, Kristin, how are you? Maybe introduce yourself and a little bit about yourself.
I'm great, thank you. My name is Kristin. I'm a captain on the 737 at WestJet Airlines for over 17 years now. I've been there. I founded the Winnipeg chapter of Women in Aviation International. It's called Northern Spirit Chapter in 2002. I started the chapter after attending the conference at Women in Aviation International in 2000, and also after having been the recipient of a type rating scholarship with Bombardier. And I wanted to give back, and there was definitely a lack of support for women pilots here in Winnipeg. And recently in 2015, Women in Aviation invited all the chapters to host a Girls in Aviation Day in their own city. So I'm so proud of the work we've done with Girls in Aviation Day here in Winnipeg. We've hosted 5 events. We weren't able to have one last year because of COVID, and it's tentative this year if we'll be able to have an in-person event. And to note, Kendra was our keynote speaker at our 2018 Girls in Aviation Day. So we really want to get the word out to girls and women that there are so many careers in aviation and aerospace that are open to them. So that's my, yeah.
Great on. Okay, we're going to talk more about that. What a great, it's a great event. Tierra Fraser, I think, was the speaker the last time you were able to do it in person.
Yeah.
And she's a superwoman, if you guys don't know that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Google Tierra Fraser superwoman and you'll see. Kim, how are you?
Hi, how are you? Thanks so much for having me, Kendra, and everyone. It's great to see everybody this afternoon, this morning, depending on the time zone you're in. I'm Kim Winsor. I am a captain on the 737 MAX with Air Canada, governor of the East Canada section of the 99s. The 99s is an international organization of women pilots, which was founded way back in the day by a number of ladies, one mainly Amelia Earhart. And we continue to try to inspire and mentor young girls and women throughout the world. And it's a great program, and it's nice to get back. I've been a member of the 99 since 1995 and received a scholarship, so it's nice to get back to the organization and have such a great bunch of members and sisters, more or less.
Yeah. Iris, hi.
I always miss the mute button. I'm sorry. Thank you for having me here today, Kendra. So my name is Iris Diaz. I am one of the co-chairs of Canadian Women in Aviation, and CWIA was founded in 1991, and it traditionally was a biennial event that brought women across the aviation industry within the country together. And because of COVID, we've risen to the challenge, and we are currently experiencing our largest digital expansion, and we've grown our mandate. My co-organizer Nisha and I have grown our mandate to be more than just the event every 2 years, but we're really looking to bring together the community in various formats and everything. So hence the digital expansion, because we can't gather more than 10 people outside right now. So it feels like online is the only place we can be together for at least a little bit longer. So we're really pushing that. And I'm a little bit about me. I'm a communications professional, and I currently work for the government of Alberta. So here I am.
Right on, thank you. Sophia, I knew you didn't want to go first and I picked you, and so you froze, so you go last.
No,
can't hear you.
Oh, she's muted.
That's just mute. Okay, that's an easy solve. Goodness gracious. Can you tell I've been on Zoom all day? Sorry, yeah, out at the airport here, we don't have the best internet all the time, but I'm hotspotting my phone, so hopefully this works. So yes, I'm the director of community engagement and mentorship with Elevate Aviation, which I'm super proud of, or also sometimes called number 3 with Elevate. So I got in pretty close to the beginning of Elevate after being invited to be in their calendar way back when, and have just loved being able to find ways to give back for all those that support. I'm the chief pilot for the Edmonton Flying Club, as well as I fly privately for a construction company here in Edmonton on a Navajo and a Citation 560. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Did I freeze again?
Yeah, maybe just keep your video off, Sophia. Maybe that'll help. It's still breaking up a little bit. Don't know if that'll help.
Okay, I'll just stay incognito.
Okay. Or yeah, it's still cutting in and out, but hopefully it sort of gets better as we go along. Okay, so I'm really happy to have you guys on today. And you know, when we started the calendar, Sophia, it was cutting in and out, but if you heard, we started Elevate because of the calendar, and it was that calendar bringing women together that we heard them say, wow, I've never been around so many people in aviation. And so we kept going. And so to have you guys all on here and show women that there's all these amazing women in aviation is just something I know we're all passionate about. So I want to dig in even deeper into your organization. So Cathy, can you tell us like why was the Northern Lights started?
Well, to start with, back in 2009, Anna Pangrazzi and Joy Parker-Blackwood, who had both been governors of the 99s East Canada section, and I was a former governor, started talking and realized that there were a lot of women out there that were unsung heroes that had not been recognized for their contributions in any way, shape, or form. And we're getting a little bit older, and we really wanted to see some recognition for them. The traditional avenues, such as the Canadian Aviation Hall of Fame, had rejected the first female pilot to have a license because she didn't have a lifetime contribution to aviation, which we all know she couldn't possibly have had a lifetime contribution to aviation because she was not allowed in the room. So we looked around. We didn't want to reinvent the wheel. But we did see a need for a program that recognized women. When we first started, we had about 25 nominations. We held it in a venue. We had a gala in the fall, and we held it. We chose one winner. The next year, as the information got out there and we were able to publicize it, we had 4 winners. From there, we realized at that pace, we were getting more and more nominations, probably 50. Currently, we get about 70 nominations a year, and we've upped it to 8 award winners. Any more than that, we feel like, even though they are so deserving, there's so many deserving women, that it would be too long of an event. So although we'd love to have the Academy Awards, we have a dinner and people's attention span is not necessarily 7 hours long. So we're up to 8 winners per. So far we have honored 57 winners. We did not have a gala last year for the same reason we all know about. And we're hoping to honor our next 8 in October, on October 16th. And hopefully it'll be in person, but that remains to be seen. And so, yeah, we just saw a need for it. And I will say, every single woman that I call, I have the wonderful job of calling to tell them they have won our award. Without exception, they say, I didn't do anything. I was just doing my job. And I just find the modesty amazing. And the women we've come in contact with, just so awe-inspiring.
Wow. I have been to your event, and it's like the Oscars. It's the Oscars, right? It is. It feels, the red carpet feel, and it's so needed. I'm so glad that you guys have that to recognize women and to show, like, we all know it's so important to have role models, and that's what I feel like you guys do with that, especially, is provide role models for young girls to look at and say, I want to be like her, and get into the aviation industry. Kim, how about you? Tell me more about your organization.
So the 99s, like I mentioned earlier, is an international organization, and it was founded way back in the day, actually in 1927. And it was after a air race that it was a bunch of women who were in this air race kind of said, you know what, we need to get our own group, because there wasn't a lot of women pilots at the time. So headed up by Amelia Earhart, they had sent out some letters to various female pilots. And I do believe it was about 120 pilots that the letter went out to. 99 women showed up at this meeting, and that's how they got the name the 99s. And since then, it's just continued to grow. 44 countries, thousands of members throughout the world. We offer mentorship programs. We have a professional pilot leadership initiative mentorship program, which I'm involved with. And actually one of my mentees is in Africa. So that's really cool how you get connected, through different people throughout the world. And we have a huge scholarship program as well. We've given out many scholarships over the years. I'm a recipient. I know Cathy is a recipient of the scholarship as well. And as I mentioned, I'm the governor of the East Canada section. So how it's kind of divided amongst the world, it's divided into sections. And then amongst those sections, we have chapters. And in Canada, we have two sections, the East Canada section, which goes from Northern Ontario, Thunder Bay, to the East Coast, and then the West Canada from Manitoba to British Columbia. So.
I have spoken to some 99s like over in Hawaii. They were doing great work over there. I'm sure you know that about the Christmas gifts that they were delivering.
Oh,
and,
yes, yeah.
Yeah, and then in Africa, and it's wow, there's a lot of incredible people that are trying to promote this world of aviation. Okay, well, if you are a pilot in Canada and you are not part of the 99s, you should definitely Google them now. Iris, tell us more about the Canadian Women Aviation Conference.
Yeah, so CWIA is an inclusive collective of women from across aviation. So we don't focus on any particular subsector or profession. We are looking for AMEs, for flight attendants, for ground crew, and everything in between to be part of our community. And so my experience at CWIA, I was a communications director in 2019. And to be totally honest with you, I felt really alone as a female in aviation for my entire career, especially as a minority female in aviation. So it was really amazing to come to this event and feel almost like a warm hug from 250 women who had walked into every meeting and every situation from a similar perspective as I have. So that was really inspiring. And then when Nisha and I, my co-organizer Nisha Venkatesh and I sort of took the reins for 21 and 22. We had really we wanted to focus on bringing all women together and telling as many stories of women as we can from various stages of their careers and various areas within aviation and everything. So we're really focusing on highlighting voices that maybe aren't heard that often from women in aviation. And a lot of times we have heard, similar to Cathy, like, we didn't do anything, it's not really that big of a deal. So we're trying to really celebrate small wins and make people see that, you know, you don't have to be the first to be an awe-inspiring person within this industry, because every win is a win and we need to celebrate the small ones. So we are working really hard to ensure that there are voices heard from across the country and across, trying to be as intersectional as possible.
Yeah. Kristin, what age group do you invite to your Girls' Day?
So Girls in Aviation Day is for girls 8 to 17. And it's been shown that this is sort of the age group to capture girls in an environment where they can learn from the programming that we do. So each chapter can set up their own event. And what we've done is we invite role models in the aviation and aerospace community to come in, and each girl gets a chance to participate in a hands-on learning activity with that woman role model. So they each get to meet an aerospace engineer, pilot, flight attendants, aircraft maintenance engineer, air traffic controller, airport operations. And it's been found that the younger group don't have the ability to sit down and concentrate and participate in the program just yet. Although it's very important to expose young girls, you know, age 4, 5, 6, to the view that women can be in these roles in order to participate in the event. They do have to be able to sit down and concentrate and participate. So we start at age 8 and go all the way up to age 17.
Oh, right on. Sophia, how you doing? How's your Wi-Fi?
Okay, I think
Oh,
well, I'm out in the boonies, so
okay. I think we can hear you now.
I'll just turn my video off when I talk.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
At least? Can you hear me at least? I just turned the video off. Oh, you're sure? Because I was like, I can go. All right, go ahead, Kendra.
Oh, Sophia, can you still hear me?
Did you want from me?
Hey, Sophia.
Were you?
Can you try calling in on the audio
Yep.
instead? And maybe that'll work better.
Yes.
Okay. And then we'll come back to you. Okay. So one of the questions that I have for you guys, and I'll just throw the question out there and anyone can answer, see who wants to tackle it. Hopefully a couple of you want to. Why are you doing this? Like, why do you think it's important to get more women into aviation? I mean, I have been asked that question a number of times over the years. So I'm curious what you guys say for an answer. Anyone want to tackle that?
I say, why not? I think it's a wonderful industry, and when you're hooked, you're hooked. And I think if more young women see the opportunities, which I think all of us are trying to do, is just show them the exciting opportunities, and just to meet people. I wish that those opportunities had been there when I started flying some 40 years ago, you know, that I could even see one female that I could go, hey, I want to do what she's doing. And we represent 50% of the population. There's got to be more than the 5% that are represented mainly in aviation right now.
So Kim, let's go to you. Why do you think that women aren't looking at aviation? I mean, 5% pilots, that's pretty low. And I think it's been 5% for many years.
I still think it might be a bit of a perception that, you know, the ability to have a career as a pilot and to raise a family is not achievable. Unfortunately, I think that's still a big misconception out there. However, I feel that we're definitely getting somewhere by educating population, young girls and their mothers. I mean, I've been at like the Girls Take Flight event, which is one of the events that one of our members arranges every year. And I was speaking to a mother there, and she said, oh, but you know, like, do you have children? And I don't have children, but many of my coworkers and friends do. I mean, Cathy has a family, and, you know, a lot of people, their husband and wife are pilots at airlines, and, you know, they manage. So I think that that might be one of the misunderstandings, but I feel that we are kind of trudging through that and getting the point and the message across that no, like, you can do anything. And really, I mean, the sky is the limit, you know. And I grew up, my father was a private pilot, and he always encouraged me, like, you know, there is no mountain too high, basically. So I think it's really important. And that's why it's great. Like all these organizations now, you know, like when I started it was the 99s, and then Women in Aviation, and we see Northern Lights and Elevate. Like it's wonderful. And I feel that the more that we educate, the more the barrier that will break, that will get more women involved.
Mm-hmm. Iris, how about you? Why do you think it's important that we're encouraging women to get into aviation?
Yeah, I think when you look at any underrepresented group in any sort of cross-section of society, it helps. Representation matters. You have to see it to be able to believe that you can be it. And we, as CWIA, we're so committed to making sure that every type of woman can see themselves in aviation, regardless of your interests. Not everybody's going to want to be a pilot. Not everybody has that passion. Some people are data nerds, and you know, they're exploring aviation through that. There's so many avenues, and the more that we can share, the more likely it is that we are going to engage women, recruit women, retain women in this industry. And Kristin's son, I think he's already in.
He was popping his head in.
Yeah, Kristin, you're obviously a mom in aviation. Do you have any comments on that, on having a family and being in aviation?
Absolutely. You know, it's interesting that there's a dynamic. It's just between being the public's perception between being a pilot and a woman and raising a family versus a flight attendant and raising a family.
Bingo.
And having so I started my career in aviation as a flight attendant at Air Canada. And not once did anybody ask me, well, don't you want to have a family one day? But when I'm a pilot, I was interviewed for a musical here in Winnipeg. And the interviewer asked me, well, isn't this a dangerous career? And don't you want to have a pilot one day? Or sorry, don't you want to have a family one day? And his question shocked me because it hadn't occurred to me that the perception was you couldn't raise a family if you were a pilot, or that you would be compromising your family by continuing on a career which he felt was dangerous. So I answered his question and moved aside from that. And because I didn't think that his questions had any real validity. And having a family and working at an airline in any role, or if you're a shift worker, or if you work outside of the province, or there's so many jobs where families make it work, and you don't have to be a stay-at-home mother to be a successful parent, and that you can raise great kids and prove to your kids that you can be a great role model. So yeah, I don't think that there clearly are scheduling barriers and logistics to be overcome when you're raising a family as an airline worker, but they are manageable. And Cathy has raised kids, her children are adults now, and of course it's definitely possible.
Yeah. I want to get into the barriers a little bit more in a minute, but Sophia, welcome back.
Hopefully I'm back. Can everyone hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. I'm not glitching out. I'm like afraid to talk. You've all been fine for me the whole time. So I just start rambling and then everyone says you're frozen. So I guess but what do you want me to say, Kendra? Where would you like me to start?
Sophia, so you're here to represent Elevate today. So tell us about the organization and why, a little bit more about why you're involved.
Absolutely. So of course, Kendra, you were the founder, which is, as I think everyone knows, and kind of all started with a dream of trying to give back and realizing that there weren't enough people around. And it started with actually Kendra wanting to give back, and volunteering was a big part of who she was. And she signed up to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, and from that, more or less, decided to create a calendar with the air traffic control ladies at NAV and raise some funds to do this hike that all went to the Lois Hole Hospital, I do believe. And from that, it kind of started to build of more people realizing, like, holy smokes, like, why aren't we talking about this more? Why aren't we featuring women? And especially on the ATC side, it started that there weren't a lot of conversations about women in aviation, like, that were recognized in. So it continued to build. I came in I guess it would have been 2014, 15. Got asked to be in that calendar. And at first, I think I'm frozen again.
We can still hear you though.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, I'll just turn the video off, so maybe that'll help. So I got asked to be in that calendar, which was a barrier for me. I felt like, oh my gosh, calendar, this sounds terrifying. But a friend of mine who's also a female pilot encouraged me, and I did it. And after like the day of being there, and you get all dolled up and such, and being around airplanes and other like-minded women, I knew I had to be a part of it. And I said to Kendra and Laura, who's the kind of number two, I said, well, how do I get involved? What do I do? How do I help? And I guess that's all that needed to be heard at that point. And I became the lead of the calendar, and then we developed that into the Inspire program, and we developed our mentorship program. And we just keep growing different programs and such to try and help and give back to women, and working with all of you as well. So it's an organization that has so many great ladies, especially, of course, Kendra, but everyone that's involved. It's a great team of people that just get so many cool ideas and just run with it. We're a team of doers. And I think that's a huge part of why, these organizations are all doing so well, is because we're all such doers. So yeah,
I would definitely say every woman on this panel today is a doer. And also a team player. Like, we talk about that a lot, about how important it is for a team, for these organizations to go forward. And you all have a team. Cathy, you guys have a board, correct?
Yeah, we do have a board, and we're meeting virtually now, of course, here in the Toronto area. And most of the members are from the area, and it changes out, but we do draw on each other's ideas, and we try and look critically at how to improve and how to achieve our goals of getting more women in the industry, celebrating the women that are here, making sure that we are inclusive, trying to get as many areas, women in as many areas of the aviation and aerospace industry recognized. We do mentorship as well. Air Canada, one of our sponsors, has offered a Judy Cameron scholarship. Judy Cameron was the first female pilot hired at Air Canada, one of our leading ladies, and they've offered a scholarship now. It'll be the third year coming up, and it for women who need financial assistance, which is a roadblock in aviation. Let's face it, a lot of people just look at it as daunting, and as long as they're committed, they can get a Class 1 medical, and they have the financial need, and they've done some volunteerism. So these organizations that we're all representing here are super important to help young women advance, and men, but young women to advance and to recognize that there is a place for them at the table or in the sky.
First of all, I'm a Judy Cameron fan. So I'm glad you mentioned her. She's awesome. Okay, so let's just talk about inclusive for a minute. So you say inclusive, we all talk about being inclusive. I am hearing, and I wonder if you guys are, let's just talk about the men for a minute. I was talking to a young man the other day who said, why don't you give bursaries to men too? I don't think that that's fair, that you're just giving it to women. Anyone have any thoughts on that? Cathy, go ahead. Yeah.
I don't want to dominate.
Well, go ahead.
No, it's super easy. I'm with ISA, the International Women Airline Pilots. Until we represent at least half, I mean, we can legally and in good conscience try and promote a certain group, visible minorities and women. We're not represented, and until you, like, we're talking 5-6%, and in mechanics, what, 1-2%, until you reach at least, let's say, 25%, which would be a lofty goal. There's nothing wrong with taking one group and trying to promote that. That's all there is. That's my thought.
Yeah.
And to be quite honest, parents are more likely to support a son's goals of becoming an airline pilot or a mechanic or an engineer than their daughters. So we can see it with the numbers of people enrolling, because in the general population, everyone has the same access to a bank loan, or in a family where there's a daughter and a son, but we just aren't seeing the equivalent number of girls as boys enrolling in aviation programs.
What about?
And
so go ahead.
Sorry, Kendra. I was just going to say, as a side note, COPA does offer some great scholarships to boys and girls. So there are scholarships still out there for the gentlemen. Yeah, Air Cadets. Yeah, there's lots of them still.
And there's the Webster Memorial Competition as well for general aviation pilots.
Great competition.
So that's another competition that they focus on both genders.
What do you think about the question that I have heard as well? Why are you promoting aviation to women? If they were interested, they would already be there.
I want to take that head on. I can't tell you how many times I hear from adults and even from children that, wow, I didn't know that women could be airline pilots. And this is in a day and age where there are more women enrolling in law school and more women enrolling in doctor programs. And yet aviation, there is a double standard. And so I think there's a definite need, because there's still a perception out there that women can't be pilots. And we need to let young people know, and we need their parents to know that it just isn't true.
I love that you're parenting right now. Awesome. Just showing, like, you're just talking really.
I know. I was gonna burst out laughing about 5 minutes ago. I was totally working so hard to keep that in as this little bunny was.
Well, it's just right. This is life. It's so wonderful. Okay, let's talk about. Let's just dive into the barriers a little bit. So we know that there's barriers for women getting in aviation. We're talking about some of them, but like, what do you guys think the barriers really are? And I'm going to throw out one that really bothers me. Guidance counselors and teachers. I still hear that there's guidance counselors that discourage women from going into aviation. And we really need to get talking to the guidance counselors more and the teachers some more and educating them. So that's one, I think it's one of the barriers is the school, this whole school system, but in this case, the guidance counselors. Iris, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think part of that is obviously teachings and everything, but I think so many times in aviation, you only think about the pilots. And so we need to really show young women and women from other industries and everything, there is so much more that keeps this industry going than the people who are thankfully flying those planes safely and getting us to our destinations. I'm a communications professional. I have nothing to do with STEM. I'm a word nerd. So I would never have thought that aviation was an industry per se, just a job. So I think we really need to open up those doors and open people's eyes to see how many opportunities there are, regardless of your educational background, or if you have an interest in aerospace and being a super smart pilot. Like I can't. So.
Anyone else? What other barriers are out there?
I would just say like what you see. Right. So, I think I've had this conversation with some of the ladies on the panel here is how often have you actually seen a female mechanic on TV? How often have you seen a female pilot, focused on a movie? I think when Captain Marvel came out and, it was like, oh my gosh, there's a female pilot, there's a female AME, there was people of color. Like it wasn't just the same people that you always often see of old movies of, the old white guy. So it's really, I think that's a big part of it. There's a BMO, I think it is, or an insurance commercial or something out. I don't even remember what it's for, but it's this woman pilot and it's about her going to work and how the importance of her family is and such. And I was just like, I got all excited when I saw it on TV and my husband looked at me like, what is wrong with you? But I was like, look at the representation. It's somebody that doesn't just look like the old white guy. And it was, I think, seeing what the potential is out there. Because, if you see someone that looks like you, it doesn't feel like a barrier.
Mm-hmm. What about the organizations themselves, the companies in our industry? Do you think that puts up any sort of barrier?
I think these days there's a lot of impetus to try and represent companies differently. And I think all of our organizations have a role to play in bridging that. I think sometimes they just don't know how to do that. And we're all saying the right words, inclusivity and qualified women and celebrating diversity. Those are all the words they want. And I think we have a big role to bridge that, to show them, to introduce them to some of the people that we come in contact with and that are involved in our organizations.
Yeah, I totally think you're right. We're talking to organizations now because as you do things and you realize what the next barrier is. And that's a huge one right now, and especially in the world of AMEs, and making that environment for AMEs that come in inclusive and safe, and feeling to the point where they want to stay in that environment and not try to find a better environment. So definitely another big barrier. I want to talk about leadership for a minute. So we all know that when there's, leadership at the high level, that, and it's diverse, that it's good. It's good for the company and it's good for the people who work in the company. In aviation, I actually don't know what the stat offhand is of female leadership executives. But yeah, Iris, you just said it's low, right? Do you guys, whoever wants to take this, just let me know. Do you guys think that it's important to have female leadership at the high level in aviation? And I'm going to add in, what do you think we should be doing about it?
I think that's such a challenge because, you know, you see women, I come from a commercial aviation background when I was in the industry and everything like that. So you see women, they get to a certain level and then you look at the senior leadership and it's all men. And to break that glass ceiling at the middle has become increasingly difficult. And I often think in society, when the majority is being challenged or threatened by a group that's rising up and developing their own sort of skill set and expertise and leadership ability, there is a bit of a threat in there as well. So I think as organizations, there is a role to be playing to almost, and this, I hate to sort of pander to them at all, but to almost make it okay for senior leaders who have looked like the traditional aviation professionals have looked for the history of aviation, that it is okay to take that chance and maybe make that step and take that step in the right direction to be a more inclusive organization and everything, and to see more ladies at the table.
Yeah, I think that we're seeing that change where CEOs are starting to voice it, that this is a mandate in our company. And you know, that's a change from what it used to be. Kristin, you are all leaders. Kristin, you're the honorary colonel appointment for you is, of course, showing your leadership in the aviation industry. How do you feel about leadership and the importance?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important to have women leaders at the highest level of each company. And one of my role models right now to speak on that is Hélène Gagnon at CAE. She has a mandate to bring on more senior executives at CAE. And I think that companies like that will have an influence on other corporations to bring on more women at the highest levels.
Yeah.
Because absolutely, you know, a bottom-up approach can have influence, but the influence has to come from top down. The leaders have to act in a leadership role and to bring more women to the table, and gender, I mean, everything, and different race and different, you know, all this kind of stuff. We need to see that at the top level as well to bring it down.
Mm-hmm. Sophia, you just finished the Elevate Leadership Masterclass. How important do you think it is to have that and other courses like it?
Yeah, extremely. I will be honest, going into it, I you sort of think it'll be interesting, meet some new people, but I took a lot out of that course. I'm just gonna, again, just in case my internet here, I'll just take the video off. But yeah, it was an incredible course, and it was really amazing to hear from different leaders in different aspects of things. Like, you know, we talked a lot about boundaries, we talked about values, we talked about so many different ideas and how to do things, which I really appreciated. And, you know, even myself in a position of leadership, even though I'm a chief pilot, I still, I answer to a board. And so you still have to kind of look at it from not only a management position, but also as a follower, and trying to figure out how that all works. And I think the minute we stop learning how to follow or work on following too, and, then we're hooped, right? We have to always keep growing and always, be working as a team to achieve an ultimate goal. So I think courses like that really can be eye-opening for how do we break those glass ceilings.
Mm-hmm. Kim, your thoughts?
Yeah. No, I've been in aviation now. I started flying close to 30 years ago. And I know we're not there yet, but I feel like we're definitely making progress. I know within our company, we have, when you walk in the office, well, not so much these days because everybody works from home, but a lot of our management are female. Like a lot of our managers are female. We have the majority of our standards department are female. And when I joined our company 14 years ago, you didn't really see that because I just don't think there was that many females in the organization at that time. But I really feel in 14 years, there's been a big difference and a big growth. And Cathy, you've probably seen that as well.
Yeah, I think there's certainly an effort on that front.
Yeah.
One thing we're doing is at Northern Lights is we've started a junior board to help teach young women how a board works. And so that's one of our initiatives. We're just actually starting to take applications for a junior board.
That's incredible.
Well, to your point,
Great idea.
how do we get them? How do we get them to the table? Let's teach them the skills, right? And also for volunteerism, we want them to know what it involves. When we come to them and say, hey, do you want to be involved? And they don't understand the scope of it. We want them to know what a board, how it operates. And I think that's a valuable skill to perhaps even in the future, groom them to be the CEO of a company.
Oh my
Cathy,
goodness.
sorry.
Iris, go ahead.
Cathy, I'm not gonna lie, our volunteer group is this bunch of young, engaged, kick-ass women. So I'm pretty sure we've got your next 10 years of Rising Star Awards. In
Excellent.
Just so you know.
That's excellent. You just have to nominate them.
Oh, we will, don't worry.
Kat, and what age is that board, the junior board? What age are you looking for?
I'm not sure completely. We're just starting it. Piyush Gandhi, one of our new board members, and Julie Beverstein are working on it. So we'll have the criteria. It'll be on our website. But I want to say like the 18 to 30, the rising star sort of age group, the ones that might want to get their feet wet and just find out what kind of a commitment it involves.
Oh my gosh, we were talking about inviting one person onto our board, and we still may do that. But way to go! How important is that? What an opportunity! The people that get to sit on that board, what an opportunity for them. Oh, that's a great thing for the industry.
What a great thing for NLAF too. You are now grooming the next NLAF and you're continuing the evolution of it. That's great.
Yeah, we're just always looking for ways to improve, ways to expand, ways to, we'd love to, we have lots of wish lists. I'd love to see a traveling roadshow. I'd like to see a red carpet. I'd love to see a weekend event where we can honor our winners and really get them to interact more than just one evening. So there's a lot of things. And this is just one way that we get the fresh outlook on it, right? Make sure we're not just getting stuck in a rut.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to have those programs. I know with our professional pilot leadership and initiative mentorship program, part of it is the candidates have to get leadership points. And it is through certain activities that they do, either be organizing, Girls Take Flight Day, or being on a board like with the Northern Lights and helping out with one of their events. I think it's important that they get their start early. So that's wonderful, Cathy.
Totally.
Good initiative.
Totally. Yeah. Amazing. We've kind of started doing similar ideas of like trying to inspire that next generation of like, we've now have ambassadors all across our whole country, which is amazing. And we're releasing these young women that are taking on these leadership roles as mentor leader, community leader, ambassador for their province or area, and the ideas they're coming up with. And it's just goes to show if you encourage and you inspire and you just say, give her, go, try. Just what they do, I'm so proud of so many of these young women that are just really stepping up. I think the future of aviation, especially women in aviation, is really bright.
It is, and is really exciting as these organizations like you said, Sophia, to see what they come up with. We have been really blessed. I think we've stolen a few volunteers from Elevate to really help build this volunteer everything. They're incredible. We've allowed these young women to come to the organization and pitch ideas, and then they're just running with it. For example, we're not to spoil anyone's announcement that they will be getting in their email in a few weeks, but we're launching a student pilot initiative that is called Approaching Finals. And when the young women who this was their brainchild, Nisha and I sort of thought, okay, so it'll be like maybe an ad hoc buddy thing. They came to us with this fully fledged, well thought out idea. And our jaws dropped. We were just like, I think we had heart eye emojis for the entire meeting, because these women are so smart and they're so driven and they're so dedicated and they're thinking about things in a much more fulsome way, I think, than we ever give young people credit for doing. So yeah, not to brag too much, our volunteers are awesome.
I think we probably all feel the same way. So yeah. Brag away with that. Yeah. You know what? I mean, you guys are all really wonderful examples of women lifting women up. And that's something that we need to keep doing, right? We just keep doing it. Like, I don't know when it sort of changed and started feeling that this was happening so much, but I see it everywhere. Like, women are lifting women up, and we have to keep going with that. So Kristin, and I'm going to ask you all, going forward, what's one thing that you personally or with your organization want to see happen or make happen in the next year to 2 years?
Absolutely. We want to continue to grow the Girls in Aviation Day event and hear back from girls who have been through our program to hear if it's had an effect on their career choices. So it'll take a few years to collect that data, going through the program and then pursuing their chosen career. But even if they decide to pursue a career that isn't traditionally seen as a women's career or something they hadn't thought of before, but if we've given them the inspiration to follow their dreams and to follow their path and to do something that brings them personal joy, something that they're proud of doing, then we've succeeded. You know, if we've given girls an opportunity to view their own worth and not to listen to what other people say about them, or that, well, you can't do that, or, well, do you really think that would be good for you? We want them to take passion from themselves and to pursue a career they love.
Yeah, good word. Kim, how about you?
Well, you know, again, we like to continue to educate and mentor, you know, young aviators. We have a couple of our chapters are now developing educational outreach programs. And normally, you know, that involves going into schools or going to Girl Guide nights and, you know, just educating these girls and young boys and girls, really. We can't go into schools right now, but actually we have an event coming up on the 23rd where we have a couple of our members that have developed an outreach committee, young members, and they're actually going to a French immersion school. And one of them is she's going to do the whole presentation in French. So, you know, I was really excited to hear that. So, and I feel it's really important for all our organizations to work together. And I think that's what we're doing by doing these kind of things. And Kendra, thank you to you for keeping this going for the past year, since it's been such a challenge, but you've really kept people, you know, engaging and being interactive. So hats off to you all for doing a great job.
Thank you, Kim. And again, it's the big team behind it. Big team. They're amazing. Cathy, how about you? I know you talked about the new board that's upcoming and everything, but is there anything else like in the next year or two that you personally or through the organization would like to see or do?
Well, I'd like to see us be able to meet in person. That's my big wish. And I'm not sure if by October we'll have to make that decision in the next few months. But it started out, we had 100 people attendees, and we're up to well over 400. And if this past year hadn't derailed that, you know, that just the thought of how exciting, how big can it go? You know, we are the Pinnacle Award, the prestigious award for women in aviation and aerospace. It's quite coveted, especially in the business community. And to your point, Iris, it's not all about pilots. We try and cover a lot of areas for that. So I personally would love to see it grow, meet in person, and be able to honor our winners this year, including Kendra, and just get back on track and start taking new nominations, see more nominations, I guess, all of those things.
I really hope we can get together to celebrate in October. I really, really do. I can't wait for that. And we don't have time to talk about it today, but I just want to say, your organization, and you know, I'll speak maybe for all the organizations, but I can definitely speak for Elevate, but sponsorship is so important. And for you, the Northern Lights, to put on this award show, you need sponsorship. And I think that it's crucial that the industry supports things like this, because the industry is saying, we want more women. How do we get more women? Well, these organizations are doing that. And so they need to, I think they need to really start investing into all these organizations that are on here.
We have tremendous sponsors, too many to list right off now, or I'll omit one or two. They are listed on our website for sure. The industry is definitely hurting this past year. I think we've seen that. And so one thing we need to consider are there other women's organizations? Are there other organizations that see what we're doing as valuable to their what they're trying to do? So are there other organizations? Anna Pangrazi and I went on and watched something, the Canadian Prosperity Project, and it says their credo is, if some of you have heard of it, but I had not, is when women win, everyone wins. And you look at that and they have a tremendous number of women listed on that. And I had never heard of them, and they really are trying. And so can we diversify? Can we get that? I think the industry's been very supportive to us and to all of our organizations. We've had to educate them what the difference is. And thank you for this, Kendra, because they say, oh, well, we helped out Elevate, or we helped the CWIA. And it's like, well, we're doing something different, similar but different. We all love each other, but we're not going to fight over the money. We have to sort of work. We have to figure that out.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, Sophia, what do you hope to see in the next year?
Oh man, we have so many exciting projects on the go, as you well know, Kendra. We're launching our new membership. We are continuing to grow our mentorship program. Our junior jets is really getting into those schools now, and it's great. And check it out on our website. It's free right now. So if any of your programs or organizations need something to help them talk about aviation, by all means, we're happy to share that. I'd love to see that grow. We're also working on really building a campus into the future where we actually really support women that have maybe had a difficult time in life or have come from to get into aviation and to be able to have that opportunity to grow within our industry and actually start working within it. So we've a lot of big projects on the go, and I can't wait to see where they go and how many new ideas the whole team comes up with, and watching where everyone else and all these other great organizations go.
Yeah, our long-term goal in our 5-year sort of goal is to take our learning center and keep growing. So it has its own campus with affordable housing and childcare right on it, right at the airport. So anyway, keep going. Iris, final thoughts to you.
Well, I've got a full list of here on things that we want to accomplish this year, and that gives me anxiety all the time because there's so many things on the go. But later this year, we're launching our first digital symposium. So as a result of the pandemic and everything, and knowing that we weren't going to be able to meet in person, I hate this word, but we pivoted to a digital option. So, the symposium later this year, we have our weekly CWIA calls, which is where we talk to women. We've spoken to Sophia, we've spoken to Winsor. So where we want to understand sort of those really, I don't want to say mundane, but the little wins that women have experienced throughout their career and what has gotten them to this point. We have our mental health initiative, Utopia, with CWIA. There's a dance party this weekend, ladies, if you're interested in joining. We also have, like I mentioned earlier, approaching finals. And then hopefully if we can meet in June 2022, we will have the in-person events. So there's a whole lot of stuff. Follow us on LinkedIn if you're not already, because that's where everything is shared. That was my plug. Thank you very much.
Okay, that reminds me. I actually just marked down dance party because I wanted to remember to say it. There's a dance party this weekend. I'm hoping to join you guys. On Facebook Live, on our Facebook, if you guys can go on there when you're off here and put in your organization link, and whatever you want to put on there, whatever links, go put them on under this, and so people can click on. And that takes us to the end of this session. I can't thank you guys so much. I know we could talk for a couple more hours and actually dive deeper into these conversations. I mean, we just kind of went high level over a lot of these topics, but I mean, these topics go deep. And but unfortunately, we can't get into it today. With Elevate, we're actually doing a documentary. We're starting to film our documentary, and it's about looking into these barriers of women in aviation. So that's going to be kind of exciting to do over the next year. And I just want to say, if anyone's watching this, please volunteer. I'm sure everyone has different levels of volunteers in their organizations, but if you're looking for some way to get involved, especially if you're feeling alone with COVID and everything that's going on, volunteer. It doesn't matter which organization, just get out and volunteer. If you need a mentor, there's mentorship programs with a lot of these organizations. If you want to be a mentor, volunteer to be a mentor. There's so much that you can do. You just have to reach out. So just click on the links that are under the Facebook Live when we're through this, or Google the organizations and just reach out. Trust me. You know, I like back in the day when I was extremely depressed, it was volunteering that really saved my life, and volunteering makes a difference. So please volunteer. And thank you guys so much. Thank you. I can't wait to see you guys all again in person. And I can't wait, you know, we keep trying to find ways to work together. So we'll continue, we'll continue to do that, and just keep inspiring. It's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Kendra.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Kendra.
Kendra.
Okay, see you guys soon.